tonight is Tanya Rosen. Before I introduce Tanya, those of you who joined us a little bit later, let me just tell you all that we will not be taking, there will be no question and answers. However, anything that you would like answered from Ruthie or from Tanya or from Rabbi Shaif Tab, who will be joining us later, you can text me 347-986-6443 or email me at Humi, CHUMI, at atimes.org, and we will make sure those questions get answered. Tonight's event is part of A Times Hava program. Our Hava division deals with women's health issues from birth to menopause, and you can follow us on Facebook at A Time Hope and on Instagram at A Time Hug. And now I'm going to introduce Tanya Rosen, the founder and owner of Nutrition by Tanya. Tanya holds a master's degree from Brooklyn College, as well as many specialty certificates such as pre- and postnatal fitness and nutrition, sports nutrition, cognitive behavioral therapy for emotional eaters, and working with special populations such as children and senior citizens. I've known Tanya for a very long time. She is not only a very wonderful human being, but she knows her stuff and has helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people not just lose weight, but learn how to eat healthy and how to stay focused. And Tanya is joining us tonight. Tanya, you're on?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you. I am going to turn the phone over to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Okay, so the topic of tonight is decluttering your diet. So I actually love the topic. It's an interesting one. So just like a little bit about a little bit of a disclaimer. In the 15 years that I'm married, I only made Pesach one time. So that's just my disclaimer. That's because I go away on Pesach programs and I give lectures and I give fitness classes. So I'm lucky in that sense, but I still feel qualified to talk about this because having worked with thousands of women, I hear about this, the stress of it, the mental, the physical, the emotional. I hear about it for 6 weeks before Pesach. I hear about it all through Pesach with texts and phone calls and WhatsApps. And I hear about it for like at least 6 weeks after Pesach when we're trying to undo the damage, whether it's emotional or physical or whatever it is. So even though I don't personally make Pesach in that sense, I feel like I'm qualified to speak about it, and I don't only have my own experience to speak of, I have thousands of women's experience to speak of. So because we have different locations and like from anything to modern to yeshivish to super Hasidish to this custom to that custom, I also know how different women are, not a specific type. So before we even talk about what diet declutter means, let's talk about why Pesach really is the hardest holiday diet-wise. The main reason that Pesach is the hardest diet-wise is because it's the only holiday that takes over your life before, during, and after Pesach. No other holiday does that. So how does it do that? First of all, before, we have the shopping, we have the cleaning, we have the boys with their Bein Hazmanim. If your husband isn't learning, it's your husband with Bein Hazmanim. We have cooking, we have making menus, we have less of your usual food available. Stores are emptying out, your house is emptying out, maybe you don't have a Pesach kitchen. So before Pesach, life is crazy. Then during, obviously, goes without saying, there's lack of structure, there's lack of routine. For people like me and a lot of people, like I love structure, I love schedules. So when you throw me off like that, that affects me too. Different foods, more meals, late meals. Some people have stressful family dynamics, which brings out, the best and the worst, depending how you want to look at it. And then after Pesach, it's not like the second it ends, we just go back to real life. It takes time to transition back, until we restock the fridge and the pantries, getting back to routine, recuperating, sending everyone back to where they came from, endless laundry. So that's one reason why Pesach is one of the hardest. Well, I think the hardest. The second reason is it's expensive. It's a very financially draining holiday. If you need to fly in your yeshiva students, your seminary students, your kollel couples, your married daughter living in Israel, it's all expensive, and that puts a stress on people. You also have to hire extra cleaning help very often. If your kids are off from school and they're officially supposed to be helping their mothers, we all know that's not always the case. We need to entertain them with pre-Pesach camps, or we need to find babysitting for them if they're very little, so that creates an additional expense. So that's a couple of reasons why Pesach really, hands down, without argument, is the hardest holiday to stay on track, and the hardest holiday to, just the hardest holiday for a woman. So other considerations that apply to women always, no matter what time of year it is, but are specifically more pronounced during holiday time. One of them is that there's a lot going on with the sandwich generation, where some people have, like, they're taking care of their elderly parents, and at the same time, they also have young children or married couples to take care of. Another one is, I made up this name, so I made up this expression, so like it's not a real expression, but the NSWS syndrome, which stands for the non-selfish woman syndrome. So women have, I guess, a good problem, but regardless, it's a challenge where they're not selfish. So it sums up almost every single Jewish woman I've worked with. It's the tendency to put everyone's needs before your own. It's like the inability to just open a bag of checked lettuce for yourself, but yet you can make a 5-course meal for every single person in your family, and you'll sit at 6 p.m. with this one and at 7 p.m. with this one and make this one's favorite food. But like for yourself, you're like not opening a bag of lettuce because it's like too much to do. Now, holiday time is when everybody needs something, so we're going to put our needs last because everybody needs something. One of my clients actually last Pesach told me that she did not leave her house, get this, for 2 weeks straight, okay? I don't think I've ever had like 2 hours straight that I don't leave my house, unless it's like nighttime when I'm sleeping, or like that's it, nighttime when I'm sleeping. So for 2 weeks straight, she did not leave her house because she was cooking and cleaning and preparing, and when her kids were going on Chalmoid trips and whatever, she was preparing for them and cleaning up and whatever, and she was happy to do it, but of course it puts a big stress on her. Okay, so now back to the topic. What does decluttering your diet even mean? So I listened a little bit to the previous talk about clutter. I wanted to listen to more, but I wasn't able to make it in time. But to me, clutter means complicated, distracting, confusing. So when I think of decluttering a diet, I think of just keeping things simple and focused, like nothing complicated. We don't like complicated, and we want to just be focused. So how do we do that when it comes to Pesach? Like, how do we stay on track and be focused? So here are some practical tips to do that. Number one is we have to be realistic. Like, a lot of people are like, you'll see, this Pesach I'm gonna lose 5 pounds, or I'm gonna lose 2 pounds, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds, I'm gonna be amazing. And I always just like to keep it practical, and I say the goal over Pesach is not to lose weight, but just to stay the same. Like, just don't gain. Or an even better way to do it, to think of it, is, how did I do last year? Did I gain 5 pounds last year? So this year, let me gain 3. Did I gain 4 pounds last year? So this year, let me gain 2. Just do better than last year. That's all. So just as an extreme example, I have a male client that he goes on these like fancy Pesach programs, and he feels like he has to get his money's worth, right? So last year after Pesach, he went on the scale and he was up 11 pounds. So I was like, oh my gosh, you gained 11 pounds. He said, no, that's nothing. I usually gain 18 pounds. So to put it in perspective, to him, only 11 pounds was actually a good thing. Another practical tool is the 3 W's. So the 3 W's are walking, writing, and water. So I always say that no matter what else is going on or where you are, these 3 things can happen no matter what. You can walk anywhere, you could write your food anywhere, and you could drink your water anywhere. So with walking, it's not like we're going to burn major calories. We know walking does not change your body. We know walking does not burn major calories, but it just keeps you on the right track mentally, and it gets you up from like all the sitting and lazing around, and it puts you in a good mood, and it just puts you in the right perspective. Water makes a huge difference. So drinking enough water flushes out your system, prevents hunger, speeds up your metabolism, so that also can happen. And writing, if you're makpid on not writing on Yom Tov or Chol Moed, that's fine. I mean, obviously not on Yom Tov, but if you're makpid about not writing on Chol Moed, that's fine. Text it to a friend. You're not texting over Chol Moed, right? So text it to a friend or write it on your notes. So the 3 W's: walking, writing, water. The next one is to know your amounts. So many times I hear from people, I probably ate too much matzah, but I was afraid I wasn't doing the minimum. I probably had too much grape juice, but I was afraid I'm not doing the minimum. So now is the time to get your answers straight. Ask your rabbi, ask your husband, ask whoever you have to ask, what is the minimum? And as many clients as I have, that's how many answers I hear. One says this, one says that, one says if you put it in a smaller cup. But whatever it is that holds true for you, find out. Like this, you're not going to be overdoing it just in case you didn't have enough. Another good tip is to get the smaller little cups for grape juice, because you're supposed to do rove kos, right? Like you're supposed to do most of the cup. So if the cup is smaller, then that's a way to do that. Stock up on light grape juice. Get your whole wheat matzah. Also a friendly reminder, or a reality check reminder, a round matzah is equal to 4 breads. Okay. The next one, Chol Moed trips. Now, back to the selfless woman. You would never, ever go on a Chol Moed trip and not take things for your kids, right? Or you wouldn't not take a diaper bag for your baby. So how come we go on a Chol Moed trip and forget about ourselves? So you need to walk out to that Chol Moed trip with a whole bag of everything you're going to need for the entire day. The next one is the no list. Okay, so this one comes from Basia, one of our location managers, and she suggests that people make a short list of the no foods, meaning we don't like to say no generally. We like to say that everything is okay in moderation, but on a holiday where there is already so much extra and so many challenges, make a short little no list, like no cake or no soda or no sugar or no eating extra at the Seder, whatever your no list is, and try to stick to it. The next one is my favorite advice. Shana, you got to move back a little bit. The next one is my favorite advice ever, and I say it a lot. There's something called FOMO, fear of missing out, okay? What does that mean? That many people eat simply because they feel like they're never going to have the opportunity to have this food again. Let me remind you that whatever food it is, fill in the blank, your bubby's cockish cake, your bubby's sponge cake, your mother's famous, I don't know what, potatoes. You've had it for X amount of years. Mir Tashem, you will live many, many years, and you will have it for many more years. So don't have FOMO. Get over the FOMO. You will have it again. You've had it before. Don't be afraid of that. The next one, plan out your meals. I'm sure all the geschikt balabustas, as they like to say, have their menus written out. You know exactly what you're serving when. How about what you're eating and when? Hang it up on the fridge. Here is what I plan to have Monday for lunch. Here is what I plan to have Tuesday for dinner. Make yourself a plan and hang it up where you could see it. The next one is vegetables. Now, of course, I realize that many people don't eat certain vegetables, and many people have their customs and their restrictions. So whatever vegetables you do eat, cut them up, place them on the table, put them eye level in the fridge, put them on the counters, and whenever a meal is taking way too long, you know, when it's just been hours and hours, and like, what else are you supposed to eat? Munch on that. When you're cooking, when you're stressed, when it's just like hours and hours of nothing going on, munch on the vegetables and make sure they're eye level. The next one is the 1 plate rule. So the 1 plate rule is a good thing to apply for a situation when you're just not sure. Like you're eating in someone's house and you have no idea, like what's in it. You're not comfortable enough to ask. You're not home. You have no choice. You have to make the best possible choice. So the 1 plate rule is you take a plate, fill up half of it with vegetables, a quarter protein, and a quarter either starch or matzah. And with that guideline in mind, you could pretty much eat anywhere, anytime, and just do okay. Of course, no refills, okay? But that's the 1 plate rule. The next one is just keep in mind that it's not all or none. I can't even tell you how many times I hear from someone, so I cheated on Monday at 10 a.m., so whatever, like I got back on track Wednesday night. So I say, why not Monday 10:01 a.m.? Oh, because once I cheated, I decided to just keep going and like, who cares? I already cheated. So just to state the obvious, it's not all or none. If you cheat at 10 a.m., by 10:01 a.m., you should be back on track. If you cheat at 4 p.m., by 4:01, you're back on track. So whether you cheat for a minute, an hour, a day, a week, just catch yourself, get back on track right away to minimize the damage. Now, when I say this, people are like, yeah, it sounds good in theory, but like, come on, really? Okay, so let me give you 3 quick examples to drive this point home. Number 1 is your phone cracks a little bit. Like the case on your phone cracks a little bit. Do you go cracking it all the way? Obviously not, right? Or you come home from the grocery store and you open the carton of eggs, which has a dozen eggs, and 1 egg is cracked. Do you go cracking the rest and just throwing out the whole thing? No. You discard the egg that's broken and you enjoy the other 11, right? And then my favorite example is you're driving on the highway and you take the wrong exit. So do you just keep going and going? Obviously not. You just reroute and right away correct your path. So whenever you go off track, just think of these examples and realize how important it is to just go back on right away. It's really never all or none. And then one more is promise yourself that you will not do these detoxes or crash diets or whatever they're called, because it never worked in the past and it will never work. If you've been following the news, there is a woman in Israel hospitalized for irreversible brain damage for going through a juice cleanse, a juice diet, and she's hospitalized. She's in her 40s and she has irreversible brain damage from a juice diet. So no matter what, no matter how off track you go, no matter how much extra you eat, no cleanses, no detoxes, because it's not even a detox, it's just whatever. None of that. Just go back on track. So that's just some of my practical tips. If anybody has more, definitely send them to me. I would love to hear your feedback. Now, we have a very, very comprehensive Pesach packet. If you're not on the email list, you can go on nutritionbytanya.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get the packet. It has menus, it has recipes, it has sample plans for Pesach, tons of shopping lists, everything is there. If you don't already, you can follow me on Instagram, Nutrition by Tanya, and you can also follow my WhatsApp status. So I could give it out to okay, I'm not posting that. Okay, don't follow my WhatsApp status. No, I'm joking. You can email me, Tanya@nutritionbytanya.com. You can go on the website, nutritionbytanya.com. Follow me on Instagram, Nutrition by Tanya. I'm wishing everyone a healthy, wonderful, happy, successful Pesach. Oh,
Tanya?
Yeah.
Okay, we lost. We seem to have lost Tanya. I'm hoping that it was just for a small second.
I'm here. I'm here. Do you hear me?
Rabbi Taub, are you on?
Yes, I am here.
Yes. Okay, so hopefully Tanya will come back just to say goodbye. If she doesn't, I am thanking her for joining us and for all of her helpful and insightful tips. If you would like either Tanya or Ruthie's worksheets, please email me, Chumi, C-H-U-M-I, at atimes.org. I am going to introduce Rabbi Taub. Rabbi Shais Taub is an old friend of A Time, and he has spoken at many of our events. And Rabbi Taub, when I asked Rabbi Rosen, what is the best way to introduce you, he said, a friend of A Time who is known for his smart and direct answers. So Rabbi Taub is going to help us, I guess, declutter our minds and emotions before we go into Yom Tif, which unfortunately is not always just a simchatic time for us. It brings so much with us. And if there is anything that Rabbi Taub says that you'd like clarification on, or if you just have a question, again, you can text or email me, and I will make sure